You're listening to Beyond the List, the podcast dedicated to high school coaches who work their tails off every day. This episode is proudly sponsored by Elite Sports Embroidery and Screenprinting in Duluth, Georgia, your premier custom apparel and uniform shop. Chris Daniel and his team at Elite Sports Embroidery and Screenprinting work with teams, companies, events, and groups to screen print and embroider cutting-edge merch and provide the most personal and professional customer service in the industry. With over a decade of experience in custom apparel, custom jerseys, and bag embroidery, you're in excellent hands. Whether you're outfitting your team at the start of the year with jerseys and player packs or at the end of the year to celebrate winning region or even state, Chris and his team will get your order done quickly with their in-house screen printing. Reach out to Chris Daniel and his team at Elite Sports Embroidery and Screen Printing today to see how they can help you out this season. Now, stay tuned for this week's episode of Beyond the List.
I'm good. I'm ready.
Welcome back. My name is Billy with Coach Dooley's List. And once again, if you're enjoying these interviews, please like and subscribe to the YouTube page and also follow on all of our social media channels. Today, I am here at Northside, Columbus with Sydney Karastury. Coach, thank you so much for having us today. You may hear the girls in the background coming in from practice.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. It's an honor to hang out with you and spend time with you and do this. So.
I'm going to let you talk about your coaching journey, but we got to know each other when you first got started, and I have loved to watch your journey, but I'll let you talk about it. So tell everybody, how your coaching journey has gone, how you ended up here at Northside.
So I never even wanted to coach, actually, growing up until my senior season at North Georgia. And I knew I wanted to teach. I knew I wanted to do high school special education. And then Coach Davenport was my coach in college. He's the one who made me want to be a coach. So that's where Billy Dooley came in. It was time for me to start figuring out where I was going to teach. And I knew I wanted to kind of start out in the Atlanta area. And Billy Dooley actually was like, send me your resume and I'll send it out to people. And I started out at Grayson with Coach Batchelor and Coach Tolbert. And that was so much fun. I had the best year ever with them.
They're fun.
Yeah, they were so much fun. But that was also the first year of COVID, was my first year teaching. So the world shut down that spring after my first season at Grayson.
And they've never replaced you. It's still just the two of them.
Just the two. They're just holding down the fort over there. That's so funny. But yeah, so COVID happened and I grew up here in Columbus. And I had already been in contact with Brandon. Even while I was still in college, I would come home at times during the summer when I'd be home and just kind of work with Northside a little bit. And we were just in contact and just doors started opening up back here. So a very specific teaching position that I'd been praying about opened up. And my whole family was here. And I was like, oh, it's God's plan. So, yeah, that's how I ended up at Northside. I've been here for 6 years. I'm going into my 7th year coaching, 6th year at Northside, but 2nd year as a head coach. So that's how I ended up here.
I hear it all the time, God's plan and God's timeline.
100%,
for sure.
100%.
So in being, obviously learning from one of the great ones in Coach Davenport and being with another one of the great ones, Coach Batchelor and then Coach Jenkins, you start kind of formulating what you want your program to be known for. So when people think about Northside softball, what do you want people to think about?
I just want them to think of us as a program that's always going to compete, but also compete the right way. We're just big on everything. Sports mirror the real world. So everything that you're doing in softball or football or whatever you're playing is going to have some type of life lesson for your job and for the future. So that's really what we're big on, is just doing the little things right and trusting the process. So that's what I want us to be known for. Obviously, I want us to be known as a good powerhouse program or a program that's going to compete well. But more than that, I want it to be about how we're doing it and just the life skills along the way. So years down the road, one of my players' bosses, if I were to somehow run into them, that they'd be like, man, that's a great person. That's a great adult. That's a great worker, a great kid. And that way I feel like, it could reflect back on us that we're trying to teach them some of those life skills. So.
Absolutely. And you hear this all the time. And I tell you this, you're still young as a head coach. You don't hear those things as a young coach until years down the road.
Yeah,
and I think that's a difficult thing with a lot of young coaches is you don't get that feedback of, hey, this was good.
You don't see the fruit yet.
And you will. You will see the fruit. It'll be at a random place in the middle of Kroger where somebody's going to go, Coach. You're going to try to go, oh, whoa, hey.
Yeah.
Their kids are going to be with them, and they're going to start talking about things from the past. And that's when you start to realize. So, and I know you do a great job, so keep that up. So with, being here now, head coach, even, working as assistant coach for several years, what's one of your favorite coaching stories that just makes you smile?
Winning state is obviously like always one of my favorite things, but I would say one of the funniest moments back in the fall of 2023, and it was the year that we did win state, but it wasn't that game. I was pregnant. I was coaching first base. We were playing Kell, and it was the first game of the Elite Eight, and we were like going into the 10th inning. We had a runner on third, and Brandon, we stole home and ended up winning the game that way. And I was very pregnant at the time, and I like jumped up and was so excited, but I peed myself a little bit. So that is like one of the funniest, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my gosh. I was very pregnant, very excited. And that's just something I think it was just so fun. Like, I still laugh about it, thinking about it. But just that game in particular, I feel like set the tone for us to win state that year, the way that we did it, and then just being pregnant and that happening was just really funny to me. So
I thought you were going to tell me your water broke doing it.
No.
That'd
be terrifying.
Yeah, we were down here that year, and I remember that was talked about everybody because I know Kell's pitcher was legit.
Yes.
And everybody goes, yeah, Jenkins just stole home. And Northside won it. And I go, they did what? And they said, yeah, in the 10th inning. It was like, wow.
Yes.
And I think, like he said, you're a genius if it works.
And not if it doesn't. Yes. Yeah. It was just, I have chills when I just think about that moment too. Just, I don't know, things like that are so fun. And then,
well, and River gets the memory too, even though he was there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I tell my kid about the concerts we went to that when Leslie was pregnant with him. He's like, I don't remember that. I'm like, oh, you wouldn't. So, no, that's awesome.
Fun.
So, being a head coach going into year 2, if one of your assistant coaches who's never been a head coach, or if one of your players one day comes to you and says, Coach, I want to be a head coach one day, what piece of advice would you give them?
Definitely to always remember why you're doing it in the first place. For me, it's a ministry platform to share the gospel and to just try to teach these girls that it's more than a game. Your worth is not in your performance at all. So that's always kind of been my why, and just, trying to just instill those values in them. That is what keeps me going when it gets hard sometimes. So I think just knowing your purpose, remembering why you're doing it in the first place, and then to get thick skin.
That one's difficult sometimes because you don't realize too, and that was actually one of the pieces of advice I was given. When I first started, he said, "You better have thick skin." Yeah. You don't think about it until somebody starts to question what you're doing, and they don't see
whether it's good or bad all the time, year round.
And others don't see the time you put in when they're not around.
Yes.
When their kid not at the field, parents, even the kids, that kind of stuff. So no, I love that. So, and obviously one of the big things with Coach Dooley's list is trying to connect coaches with vendors. And I always say too, thank you, shout out. I got me a new pullover today. My closet is getting full. One of the coaches said, I think you're only doing these interviews for clothes. And that's just a perk. But I will wear this proudly. I've actually been here probably more than any other place just over the years when we get a chance to come to Columbus, and I left my hat at home that I got a couple years ago. But thank you for this. But I always ask, who are some vendors or groups that you work with that have been helpful to your program that you would shout out to others to use?
Absolutely. So our team, we do pretty much year-round strength and conditioning, but we as a coaching staff don't necessarily do that. We use Columbus Athletic Club, and my brother is actually the owner of that. He has his CSCS. He's strength and conditioning coach for multiple professional athletes, college athletes, just all the strength and performance side of things. So he's been doing our programming for the past, I think, 3 seasons. My husband did it before that. But so Columbus Athletic Club is 100% the best performance-based gym in the area for young athletes, college athletes, professional athletes. And he uses an app called TrainHeroic. So that's kind of part of his gym as well, that logs all of your workouts. It builds the percentages for you. It's got demonstration videos. So that's part of it. So our girls, while they're in the weight room, they're looking at their app. They see all the data numbers of where they started, where they're going. It tells them, what they should be PRing. So that combined with my brother at Columbus Athletic Club is definitely, I will always recommend him, and just for any athlete at all.
And listen, too, I know this, a lot of times coaches use something outside the school. I wasn't a strength coach, but you're supposed to do weight training and things like that. So you said TrainHeroic? Yep,
TrainHeroic's the app that he uses. And then the gym is called Columbus Athletic Club. His name's Kyle Sprague. So
And even outside of Columbus, I'm sure he would probably help out, like even just calling too, just
making the program. Yes, exactly. And he's done that before as well, for even athletes that don't live here or professional athletes that might be down at like spring training or something like that. He'll do all their programming, and they'll actually, you know, they can carry out their workouts at a different gym, but he is the one who's like, you know, programming for them based on where they're at and getting them ready for their sport. So yeah, we're blessed. I try to find people that know more than me, and even like with my coaching staff, try to find people who know more than me with strength and conditioning.
You have more coaches than anything I've ever seen.
I know.
Y'all have 7 coaches.
Yeah,
and somebody was like, "No, we only have 6." I was like,
"One's not here today."
Yeah,
I know.
And they were like, "It was like good grief."
But I'm like,
they're all rock stars.
Specialize in what you specialize in, and have at it.
But that takes so much off. I talk a lot about too. It takes so much off of you.
Yeah.
Where you're able. And I had a coach the other day talk about delegating. Claudia Cooper.
Yes.
She was talking about delegating, but she put it in terms of something I'd never really thought about. She goes, she made sure to delegate when she was head coach of a travel team, so that she could spend more individual time with her players.
Yeah.
So she wasn't there working the field doing this. She would make sure, because it freed up time to be able to be more one-on-one.
Yeah.
Which led to, you know, the better relationship you have with them, the more you can get on to them when it needs.
Right.
And it's not, oh, she's mad at me. It becomes, oh, she loves me, and that's why she's telling me that. So
that's exactly right.
That's fantastic. Yeah, always bring in the good people for sure. So, well, Coach, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you so much for taking the time, and good luck this year, and just keep plugging along.
Right.
Have a good day.
Thanks.